might be it. Oh, Jeff, our grandmother liked our Big Brother podcast.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a fan.
Yay! Even with all the swearing.
Even with all of it.
Oh, she wouldn't care about that.
Yeah, that's not. She's a mater. Yeah, so
she's a mater. Love it.
All right, I think we're engaged, everybody. So welcome. Star Trek Lower Decks, season 1, episode 5 is over. Cupid's Errant Arrow. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast. I'm Dave Mater, coming at you with Star Trek TV movie reviews, joined with Jeff Mater, my brother, and Jaemeel Robinson, co-host, to talk about this episode, this 5th episode, as we've been covering every episode of Lower Decks as is airing. We just, as mentioned, we had our Big Brother podcast tonight, and then we watched this episode, and then we came right in here. So this is the Thursday night turnover. Now, we the three of us have not really talked about what we thought about this episode at all. So I'm going to go with Jaemeel first. I'd like to hear from you first.
From previous episode, I mentioned my issues and the things that I enjoy about the actual episode. One, I didn't feel there were much laughs, but I did enjoy the story elements that kind of carried through. This one, once again, felt like an actual story that we were seeing. It's the traditional Riker or, we're not quite sure mystery that's going on. Why are things happening? And the story went from the beginning to end. We actually got 3 stories in this one. There was actually A, B, and C subplot. And once again, I enjoyed it. Whenever the show has like a storyline that kind of has a consistent arc, I typically enjoy it. Plus, I did giggle a bunch of times.
Yeah, I had a few giggles. Yeah, for sure. Okay, Jeff?
I agree, concur with Jaemeel. It was not my favorite episode by a long shot. I think it was probably maybe my second favorite. The pilot I still don't like as much maybe as this episode. But for me, I kind of wanted more of the upper deck crew. I want more from the captain and the Bajoran guy and the Ransom, and they're not in the show enough for me. They're for me what's really working. All this stuff with Beckett and Boimler and it's fine. I get they're the stars of the show, but it's just there's too much of them for me. That's kind of what I'm taking from this episode.
You wish it was like an hour block, lower decks followed by upper decks.
Yeah, maybe if they did an upper decks episode, I would.
First
like
22
that
minutes,
more.
Lower decks, and then we move to the upper decks, and it's like the part 2 of the story. I don't know, maybe that could work. I don't know. It could be like Law and Order, where you start the first half with the cops and the second half with the lawyers and the trial.
Yeah,
not unprecedented, but okay. So of these 3 plots tonight, then Jeff, because we mentioned the A plot, the B plot, and the C plot, we could divide them as there's the plot with Boimler and Mariner and his new girlfriend, whose name I can't remember yet.
Well, you don't have to remember it because this is the last we're ever going to see of her. Most
likely. Yeah, this is the end of her, right?
Yeah, most likely. She'll probably come back maybe one episode to go play skee ball with Beckett or something. I don't know. But
they have a relationship.
Barbara Brinson, Lieutenant Barbara Brinson, as played by Gillian Jacobs, by the way, from X-Files.
Community.
From Community.
Oh, no, so I'm thinking of Gillian Anderson.
Yeah, this is Gillian Jacobs.
This is, and actually it's pronounced Gillian.
Gillian, yes.
So it's Gillian Jacobs.
I Brited it.
See? Right. But here you have, that makes sense because she kind of resembles Britta. And this makes sense as this is who's playing this voice. A trend is emerging here and in this in how who they're picking to voice who.
Just lost a train of thought there.
No, I just don't even know what to say about it. But
did you like it, Dave? Did you like A, B, or C? A, B, and C. I
think the best plot tonight was Rutherford and Tandy.
Really? Okay.
I thought that they were the strongest. I think Rutherford is consistently my favorite character. I think he's delivering his dialogue, and it's mostly because of his enthusiasm for the most mundane aspects of Starfleet life, and she was playing into that way more than she has in other episodes. Like they were talking about the T-88s, which is a reference to yesterday's Enterprise, where she Tashiar and Lieutenant Richard Castillo, they go up to Guinan, right? They go, "Oh, give me a couple T-88s," and he goes, "What's T-88s?" "Oh, it's like your ration pack or something." But in this, they made it like some kind of new thing that had
like
had
a
no
tricorder scanner reader.
Yeah, this ambiguous like widget that was like whatever, because they're up against this other crew in the USS Vancouver Parliament class. So I was talking a little bit off air how the Cerritos is California class, and they're all named because we saw the other ship last week, the USS Mareb, or I think it is, or something like that.
No, the Merced.
Merced, that's it. Merced, California, right? So so this is a new class of ship they've introduced, which I don't know, like that's not for everybody. I know, like, Jeff,
So
you're not.
wait, if it's Parliament class, are we under the impression that it's named after cities in British colonies?
I would imagine so, or at least it could even be more specific to Canada, where maybe it's Parliament class and they're all Canadian cities. We'll see.
Calgary.
Yeah, I think we could see something like that. I have to look up who's on this writing staff a little bit more closely to understand. Like, is there a Canadian on this writing staff? And if so, I could see that, because I think that the Cerritos obviously is Mike Mann himself. Mike McMahon. He's from California. He's from Cerritos, California. So that's the reference to there. So I think that this was another like plug into that. And the whole thing with the USS Vancouver was that they're like a better class. They're like where the more elite officers would go serve to do the bigger missions. But I think it's interesting to see that,
Good. So wait, I'm such an idiot. I am such an idiot. If you didn't get this, you're gonna laugh at this. So Boimler's girlfriend lives in Canada.
How do you know that?
Because the Parliament is Vancouver, and that's supposed to represent Canada, and the Cerritos is California. So he's basically saying, my girlfriend lives in Canada, and that's why they don't believe that she exists.
This is a Breakfast Club reference.
No, it's a general reference. Like, it's in a lot of media. Like, Americans will say, "Oh, my girlfriend that lives in Canada." Well, this legit. They put this in the series. I know I seem a lot more excited than you two about this revelation, but it literally just hit me. Like,
it makes sense.
How kind of pieced it together.
It's more of an American. We're all Canadians, and it's more of an American type of thing to think. But even when we were growing up here in Canada, there was something like, my girlfriend, she lives in Quebec or wherever. She lives in another province, or it's that same idea, like, or she's in another zip code or whatever, however you want to. Like, you never would meet her, but she exists and she's the best. And
but like that level of work just to like, I'm like, why did they make this a Parliament one? You were thinking that maybe a writer was from Canada. It's like, no, the legit reason why it's a Parliament class and it's called the Vancouver is because Boimler's girlfriend lives in Canada.
Right. It's a metaphor for that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. And so, just talking about this plot line tonight, the whole Boimler and Becca Mariner and Lieutenant. Sorry, again, what is it? The girlfriend, the Gillian Jacobs character, Barbara Brinson. This was okay.
Just call her Britta. It's fine.
Yeah, this was okay, but it wasn't quite engaging me. Like, I thought it was funny in parts. Like, how could this girl be into Boimler and the obsession there? It should have worked more than it did. Like, it's like, I think it was more well written, but I don't know. It's just like maybe it was the actors weren't clicking as well with her. But what I did think was funny in their storyline was her, like, this other lieutenant or Jet, like the big huge engineering officer guy, who's like clearly handsome, and she's, oh yeah, we used to date and whatever, and she's like, come on, Jet, and like, and
walk me to work.
Yeah, walk me to work, and it's clear that like at least they're close, and it's and Boimler's threatened by this, but so I thought that stuff was pretty funny. But like once they got on that orbital,
descent into madness that was happening. I like that. I wish they played that up a little bit more.
I liked when
I liked Beckett's like conspiracy theory board with all the strings and her going insane. And I thought this was for me one of the strongest Beckett episodes. But the rest of the characters I felt, other than like Rutherford and what's her name, the girl's name, Rutherford and the other girl.
Devana.
Yeah, Devana. They were strong, but Boimler was whatever for me. He was the folly in the character. I don't think the guest star was all that strong, but I thought Beckett was kind of the star of the show in this episode, and I think she did a good job. I thought some of the sequences were good. It got a little old. I think they kept going back to the same joke and the same well a little bit. It was working, so I get why they did that, but I don't know. Like I said, I wish I had a little bit more of the captain stuff. I love the moment where
the C plot line.
The C plot line for me was the best because like the guy was like, "How many people live on the planet?" It's like 2, me and my wife. It's like destroy the planet. Yeah, it's like 2 fucking people live on this fucking planet.
Yeah, that's the conclusion. But before that, it's all like this work they have to do. Because first thing that's set up again here is with our captain here I always have to be reminded, Captain Carol Freeman. So she's meeting another captain here, in this case of the Vancouver, and she's jealous, or like she's kind of rubbing in her nose like, oh, you would know what it's like to serve on the Vancouver, so awesome, so great, right? But we learned in the plot line with Rutherford and Devana that serving aboard this ship is way more stressful. It's there's a lot more pressure, and because there's kind of a ruse done by that lieutenant commander on that ship to get switch places so that he can go just work on a simple ship. And then a lot of Starfleet officers are just kind of looking for like a quiet gig. They want to like explore space and do this thing, but they don't necessarily want to be dealing with he said you have to go back in time and kill Hitler or kill somebody worse than Hitler.
Worse than Hitler,
yeah. That was Tuesday or whatever, right? And so he'd rather get the boring gig. And so would they kind of learn that too. They like, oh, it'd be so cool to be on this more advanced ship. And Mariner points out to them that it's not really that much better. It's kind of the same ship, less the struts are not as long or something, but the basic configuration's not that different. And
so once again, is this, or am I thinking way too much into this episode? Is this a commentary about Canada being this like utopia and realizing like Americans realizing that, yeah, it is better, but there's a lot more involved. And, there are some people that want a simpler life than what is here. And you should appreciate what you have wherever it may be. Even though it's falling apart, it's still home.
Right.
Or I'm just reading way into this.
I wasn't picking up on that. That wasn't necessarily my theory. What I was getting more out of it that, like that your life can still be fulfilling, and you can like where you are and what you're, where you are in life without having to worry about being sort of the best. And I think it's kind of it's also another commentary on what it is to be in Star Trek. And like Star Trek's always presented as a utopia and everyone's happy. Everyone wants to be the best and to fulfill their life, but not everyone can be Jean-Luc Picard. Not everyone can be like sort of this like exceptionally historical figure. Some people are just more like day to day, they contribute and they matter too. And I think that the Barclays, if you're lucky, right? Or if you go back, the original Lower Decks episode, that these guys who we never talk about, they're always in the background, they get killed, they get sucked out of the ship or whatever, that they're real people too. And I think it's trying to make us think it's also a social commentary. So I think that in that way, it's making me think about those things. It's good, right? Like I'm here reflecting on it and I'm saying, well, I think that the show has got more of a message than I think it does, or this one was making me think, but it's not always going to be just like, how many laughs did I fit into this episode? Which I think is actually more reassuring than not. I think I don't come here just to laugh. I come here to see how this fits. I know, like, this whole debate. How wacky do you take this? Or how much of a parody is this? Or how connected to Star Trek? This episode, and what we've seen so far, 5 episodes in, is this is still connected. Like, we saw a little bit of a flashback tonight with Mariner going back a couple years to when a crewman of his, like somebody who was into her friend, right? It was like her friend on the ship on the Keto, when I was serving on the Keto.
Yeah.
Tell me what that reference is, Jaemeel.
But I don't even a Keto. Is that like a reference to like Aikido, the martial art?
Or the keto, the diet?
Isn't it the keto or a keto?
I thought it was just keto. I don't know. We'll have to go. Well, I didn't have the
Yeah.
subtitles on, so I'm not exactly sure what the name of the ship was. But the point was, yeah, that was why she was so obsessed with the fact that Boimler was in danger from his girlfriend, because she was clearly an alien or something. There's no way she could be interested in him, because that was her experience before. And in that scene, when they flipped it, she had the gray shoulders with the colored turtleneck.
I should have known you're gonna reference the uniform.
That was a canon faithful reference flashback, and I thought because this is 2380, so the uniforms, if it was just a couple years ago, that's what they would have been.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love your attention to detail.
Okay, to break up the love fest for this episode, do we want to hear what John
Yes.
76 had to say about this episode?
John
Give it
Jew
to
76. Hold on, let me get the fire. Or no, what did we get for John Jew 76?
The ice cold, I think, because he actually gave this one a 7 out of 10 stars, and it says
I should put.
We're turning it around. John Jew 76.
John
he was
76 is turning around. So he says, not as good as the last one, but good. He goes, like the whole episode, besides there was again a bit too much of Becky in it. B plot was total nonsense. A plot 7 stars, Becky and Brad. B plot 3 stars, Devonna and Sam. C plot 9 stars, bridge crew plus overall mission. 2 minutes of this episode. The people who make this show don't understand the economy of Star Trek. Every Starfleet personnel can have everything all the time because a ship has nearly infinite amount of resources. This is the second time they play around with this nonsense. Like, as a lower deck, you get worse food and not the best tools in the fleet. Makes no sense. For someone like me who identifies as a nerd, the treatment of Brad is still a very serious problem for the show. It's sad, really. The whole episode was, again, a whole joke on him to a degree. Sigh. John Jew 76.
But even in Next Gen, there were obvious tiers of people in terms of their relationships. Barclay wasn't pulling tail that Riker was. Okay,
No.
So let's not like all of a sudden say no, this isn't accurate to Star Trek. No,
Yeah,
right. Geordi didn't get that much play, right, and compared to Riker was getting everything. Riker was in like Kirk territory the way he was going, right?
yeah.
So
they showed that there was a meme on Facebook the other day. It was the 4 horsemen of horny of Star Trek. So it was Kirk, Riker, Bashir, and then Harry Kim was included. And I don't feel like Harry Kim should be included on the 4 horsemen.
4 horsemen does not include Harry Kim.
no. Harry Kim is horny. He is. Holodeck lovers, hidden on 7.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. He's the what? Horny?
4 horsemen of horny. So
okay. I thought you meant like 4 horsemen, like almost like a wrestling faction. No, never mind. Okay.
They are.
He
they're
would
horny.
He would be the Mongo McMichael of the group.
Yeah, he'd be the Mongo McMichael. Yeah, for sure. Steve Mongo McMichael. What a reference! I was expecting to reference him.
Okay, what do you guys think about what John Jew 76 is saying though about Boimler being the nerd? And they are kind of like, they're like, oh, we love him, but we like they have no problem making fun of him. And is it in a loving way? Are we supposed to just kind of let it go, like that type of stuff?
He's confusing his nerds, okay? Because Rutherford is a nerd, right? Mm-hmm. As well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Boimler is socially awkward.
He's a dork.
Right? He's socially awkward, whereas there's a difference. He is smart. Like all of them, they never paint the individuals on this crew as incompetent. Really,
no.
They're at some
you're on the
part. Sorry,
but
even the senior staff, even the senior staff has qualities that allow them to succeed. Mm-hmm. Right, and they've shown that. Right. The thing about it is there are foibles just like any of us. We're good at some things, right? Like I'm not good at and we're bad at other things. Like I'm not good at picking Big Brother players all of a sudden. I pick garbage people, right? And so but I'm a pretty good dude, right? So that doesn't mean that you're going to paint them in one box. Rutherford is a nerd, but Rutherford, as you've seen, he can get into relationships and he can get women. He's just not focused on that.
Yeah,
right?
That's not what really matters to him. Not like Boimler.
Correct.
Boimler's more about status and more about, I don't know. He in what, like, in some ways that I know that they're all cartoon characters. I'd say Boimler is the most most cartoony at this point. Whereas like early on, I think Davana and a few of the others definitely felt more like these are not real people. I'm having a hard time, but now it's different. Now I even 5 episodes in, I'm thinking of them differently, except for maybe him. This episode did not necessarily completely humanize him.
Mm-hmm.
The whole, him standing naked, and what do you guys think of that? Like they blacked out his dick, and it was like is that what you do?
He did the naked man.
Even in cartoons, that's kind of an unconventional way of doing that.
He did the naked man. What is it? 3 out of 10 times it works.
It works 3 out of 10 times every time.
I don't think this is one of the 3 times it worked.
Not with Beckett.
Yeah. Like, and because they already showed us that in like the season trailers. So a lot of, like, when she goes, "This is the best ship ever." That was the misdirect. That was from this episode tonight, but they had shown us that in the trailer early on, where they were talking. We thought they were talking about the Cerritos, but they were not talking about the Cerritos clearly. So that was a bit of an edit there. So I know you always want to see next time on this show, but I don't know how much we can trust that. I don't think Mike Mann is. I keep calling him Mike Mann. Is it Mike Mann or Mike McMahon?
That's a very good. That's a very good question.
We should get a handle on this.
What did you guys think of?
I need to get
What did you think of Boimler's line where he says that Jet is like Kirk Sunday with Trip Tucker sprinkles?
I would never thought I would get an Enterprise reference that 5 episodes in.
No, I didn't think so either.
And just to go with the Naked Man, the Naked Man move 2 out of 3 times it's supposed to work.
Okay, was this one of the 2 times?
It didn't work.
Well, it would have worked because the parasite was still attached to his brain.
Very true. Very true.
And she basically it's so sad. She basically admits to him yeah, actually it was only because of the parasite, and it's kind of sad. The way Boimler is treated, it's kind of it's done for plot reasons. We're not going to keep Gillian Jacobs around for more here, so. But he's the folly of the show in a lot of ways, and Beckett's always the person that's cool, it's kind of like you said, they're supposed to kind of come together a little bit, and do you feel like Boimler was any more cool in this episode because he dressed up in that jacket and he was trying she's like, "You're super sexy," and she's like, she must be a parasite because you're definitely not super sexy, and all this kind of stuff that's going on in this episode. It is geared a little bit too much toward Beckett, I feel like.
But they made her wrong. She was wrong.
She was wrong.
She was wrong.
But at the end of the day, she's friends with the girl that just dumped her friend because she don't like her, the parasite. She's go on an adventure with her later. It's just, I don't know. Just the whole thing rub me the wrong way a little bit.
Because those 2 are supposed to hook up. That's why.
Is that what's going to happen? They're going to be lesbians?
Well, they're going to no. Although I think that's going to come up first. Lesbians. I mean, Bromler and Beckett are probably going to have a will they, won't they?
Yes. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right about that.
I sure hope they don't, because
I think it's best that he turns her down, or something else happens.
But. Right. I don't know. I need to see more from these 2 working, succeeding together. I think that the Rutherford and Davana friendship and their sort of sub pairing in this group of 4 leads is really working. I think that the Boimler and Mariner stuff, just personally for me, hasn't quite connected. I think they tried to really they took a swing tonight really to make these 2 more close and to more connected and friends, and I think it did do that, but it didn't necessarily. I didn't love it. I loved when Geordi and Data were on the holodeck together, becoming friends, doing Sherlock Holmes or whatever it was, right? Not as good in comparison, because I think I was I'm directly comparing it to Davana and Rutherford, who I just think are moving at a faster pace in their chemistry.
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, I feel like Rutherford's bringing everything to that relationship. I don't get a lot from Tendi yet. I don't really get like she basically just stole all of Rutherford's like whole gimmick this episode and was like, "Oh, I like to work fast and you like to work fast too." And it was just like, what is Tendi bringing to the table that Rutherford's not already providing? And I need more from her.
Well, yeah, because like that is his thing, and what made this fun is that her enthusiasm also was fun, but she was, I don't know, she was like they were just kind of playing off each other, but coming to that realization together. So we'll see if it, like for tonight, it worked. And at this point, having 5 episodes in, like I'm liking it, but what's next week what's next time for these two? Will I like it as much? We'll see. Like or whatever. Like I just, I think we need more crossover. I think we need Boimler and Rutherford, and we need Mariner and Davana and whatever, like in different combinations of that.
Yeah, I agree. They're not doing that enough. They're really keeping everybody in their boxes with their stories, and they're not really making it feel like an ensemble cast. Like when Tendi and Rutherford were going to get transferred to the Vancouver, they're like, "Oh, we can't go because all our friends are here." It's like, what friends? You don't even hang out with the other people in the show.
You two hang out. And
what are you like?
Both
Who
of you
cares?
you're like peaches pie. Right? You're fine.
That's what I thought when I was watching the episode. So like there's things like that where they just have not ironed out those. This episode should have came later in the season to me. But what number episode is this? 6 or
5?
5?
We're halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's fast. It's coming fast. But I don't know.
Okay, like even if we just can pause on that thought, like with this being halfway through, like we feel like we know these people pretty well, like these characters, and we only get 22 minutes, like compared to like 5 episodes into Star Trek Picard, perhaps. How well did we know those characters?
How well did we know Girardi?
How well did we know what's his name, Elnor, or how well or even
Girardi.
Or Girardi.
Yeah, Girardi. That's what
Girardi's a cold-blooded murderer.
Spoilers.
That's what I learned about her.
Spoilers on Picard if you haven't seen it. But
just like the captain was being told she's a cold-blooded murderer if she blows up one of those moons, even though she wouldn't have killed anybody.
Like, how come no one told her that?
That there's only 2 people?
Should they just scan for life signs? Like.
Was this some kind of revenge plot, or to keep Freeman busy just so that she wouldn't get involved? Because like she had to solve all those diplomatic things with the moons and whatever, and
I love how they threw out the prime directive. He's like, it doesn't even count in this case.
This doesn't even. It didn't.
I kind of want more of that. I want the lower decks people to cross over more with the upper decks people more often. I feel like they want to separate them a lot, and I feel like the funniest stuff is when they cross over.
Right. I think that they may agree with you, but I think that they're also like thinking that that's the whole premise of the show, is that it's all about the lower decks and how it's going to tie in with the upper. I guess we keep calling them the upper decks. I guess that's the best name for them, the senior officers. But
I think it's a mental decision to include the upper deck people, because the C storyline had really no impact in A or B storylines at all.
No,
right?
And there was no resolution.
That was a conscious decision to put it in.
There was like no resolution with the other captain of the Vancouver. That didn't really.
The only thing that crossed over was that like the Gillian Jacobs character was trying to figure out how to solve the whole moon problem in the holodeck with Ben or whatever, and at the same time, like that's what the crew was trying to do. On the upper decks or whatever, they were trying to figure that problem out. But really, the episode was mostly about the parasite and Beckett losing her mind and trying to, solve this whole thing, which was basically in her mind, and she was trying to figure that out. And whether or not that was good, like I think it was fun, but like I said, went on a little too long for me. I think they could have taken that in a funner direction earlier or quicker. But like it was a little drawn out for me.
You wanted more Rutherford and Jeffrey tubes.
I wanted more resolution quicker and more upper deck stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. But that's just me. I can understand why they, like you said, the show's called Lower Decks. I understand why we're focusing on these characters and they're not really crossing over as much. But last episode was a lot more fun than this for me. Even though it was a lot of like the captain and Beckett kind of doing their thing, and I don't know. For me, like I need more Shax in my life. Like I need him on my screen. He didn't have a funny line in this.
He had nothing in this episode. He had one line and it wasn't funny. It was just he was talking to Ransom about the mission or whatever it was.
Yeah, no, like it was like the guy was like giving the captain hell in the boardroom, and Ransom looks over. He's like, "She's doing great." So
kind of funny, but it wasn't like as funny as we have had Shax. And next season they need to really lean into his character more. Do you guys want to rate this?
Sure, why not?
Okay, so so this is just what we have so far. Last week was not as strong. So who wants to go first? Jaemeel, how about you?
I'll give it a 7.5.
Pretty good. Jeff?
For me, it was like a 5.5.
I give this about a 6. For me, it was fine. It was like, actually, you know what? I'm gonna give it. I'll go as high as 6.5, because I think it's fine. I think it serves a purpose, and it's an episode that needs to sort of exist, but for just development. But I don't know how much rewatch value we'll have in the long run.
I'll probably make a thesis essay about the Canadian American relationship via this 22-minute episode.
Right. Like so far, the high watermark has been Temporal Edict, which was episode 3. That was the one which had more of that crossover stuff. It had Ransom and Mariner, for instance, pretty prominent. And I think we just want to see more of that.
I'm looking back and I'm seeing your ratings. You gave this show a 9. I don't feel like it's done anything worthy of a 9. And I'm usually fairly positive on things.
I was pretty positive in those 2 weeks after the premiere, wasn't I? I was flying pretty high. Like, this show's amazing, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'll revisit those ratings at some point, but that's how I felt at the time. So, and I've come down a little bit. I feel like maybe I was too up those weeks, and maybe I'm too low on these last 2 weeks. I think that
Jeff has been the most consistent, really.
Yeah, he gave the pilot a 4 for the record.
He didn't like it, and he explained why he didn't like it.
Yeah,
but
yeah, he did. No, and
I liked some of the other episodes. I liked the Temporal Edict episode, and I liked Envoy's episode quite a bit. The last episode was half of it was good for me, so that's why I gave it a 6.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is like a decent. Like this is I liked this as much as I like a kind of middle of the road Next Generation episode, like probably season 3 or 4. Something maybe even 2. It's good. I'll watch it. I would not watch this again, but do I like it as much as 2 weeks ago? No, and that's okay. And that's okay. I think that I'm more of a proponent of have more episodes, more content. Let us get to know characters more. I'm less about plot. Everything now is plot. Move it along, you know. And
I like plot.
That's fine. I get that. That's more the modern storytelling is way more plot driven. That's not what Star Trek I think serves well as. I think that when Next Generation went from a plot driven show to a character driven show, pretty much in the second to third season, that's when the show really turned around and became something different.
Yeah, but DS9's a plot driven show.
But it's also it's kind of it is both.
Like the plot should be the vessel to meet and see these characters grow, as opposed to we're just characters bouncing off each other for like 22 minutes and you learn about me as a character, right? The plot is there and these characters get exposed due to the plot that occurs, and you learn more about them. You learn about Kira and you see her growth. That's the character aspect of it, but the plot puts her in that position where she's able to grow or be presented, so you're able to learn more about the character.
This show doesn't have time to do that. This show
22 minutes is too short.
Not only is it too short, but they have to get through the jokes and fit them into their plot of that episode at the time. Like, so like for instance with Beckett tonight, like there's like the whole scene where she's doing the conspiracy theory thing and she's like, this is a genetically altered Cardassian, and then the whales, and then like everything she's pointing to, all those jokes are not telling you anything about Beckett other than she's losing her mind. Now I guess it is telling you something, that she's probably jealous of what's going on with Boimler and jealous of this new girl coming in, and she thinks it's all wrong, and like I think Jameel's right that they probably will have a will they won't they going forward in a different episode. But they could choose not to do that. They could, it could go many different ways. But this show needs to fit those jokes in, get them in. They need to have the pants joke, the naked guy joke, like everything that's going on is just like they got to fit it in. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, whereas that pants joke just feels so out of place.
It's for the kids.
I hate pants.
Some of the jokes are for the kids. For sure.
And like the jokes were like, well, that was weird. What is that in the episode? That's always like I think I always come back. Oh, that's for teenagers who would like the kind of humor. That is what I guess.
But honestly, the pantsing just seems so out of place. And when you think about it, it's like you could have gone so many ways to see that larva be found, as opposed to that pantsing. It makes Beckett look stupid. Not just like, well, she's crazy or she's acting irrational. It makes her look stupid, straight up stupid.
And they portrayed that Beckett's a very competent officer, almost too competent, too good at what she does. But it's her friendship with Boimler that clouds this, or her.
It's also her past experience that she explains, like you were mentioning the old uniforms, when the perfect couple, the one guy turns into like the huge, crazy creature monster.
On Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, was it on Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, it was. They were at Deep Space Nine when that happened.
I didn't notice that was that Deep Space Nine. I noticed
on the Quito.
On the Quito, they were on a ship.
The USS Quito. That's when they had. That's why she was wearing the gray uniforms and like the gray shoulder uniform, right? And they were talking about like, and Data's got a twin brother who teamed up with the Borg. But
lore.
And I thought that was a bit of a canon disconnect, because that happened a long time before.
I'm like, how old is Beckett?
Well, Beckett's is she like in her 20s, late 20s? Okay, remember this is 2380. This is only a year after Nemesis, right? So the Dominion War was only 5 years ago.
Okay. Right, but how long ago was Lore and the Borg?
That's closer to like 8 or 9 years ago.
So she's at least 29.
But they didn't have the gray shoulder uniforms when Lore teamed up with the Borg. So this must be a story they're telling many years later. Like anecdotally,
for it to make its way around the Federation.
Yeah, it's not like this just happened recently. Yeah. It's just, but it's a reference, right? But I liked it. Like I like that kind of stuff. I like. By the way, the USS Quito is an Olympic class medical ship, similar to the one commanded by Captain Beverly Picard in All Good Things future timeline, and it's named for the capital of Ecuador, Quito.
And what kind of ship was that?
An Olympic class. It's the one where it looks like a big sphere at the front, like a sphere saucer primary hull,
like a combination of like a circular saucer with like the Excelsior body.
Yeah, I got a picture of it here. I'm going to bring it up.
Now it makes me want to think of what the Quito's supposed to represent.
You see that?
Yeah.
That's not a bad looking ship. It's different.
It looks just like that ship that Crusher had, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's meant to be like a hospital ship.
Which makes sense. That's fine. Why is she on that ship though? That makes more sense for Tendi to be on that ship.
Well, sorry.
No, because she just goes from ship to ship.
Right.
Yeah, this is one of her many assignments. Okay, so yeah, and we know that they were wearing that gray shoulder uniform at least a year ago, because Nemesis was a year ago, and that was still the active uniform. And I guess a year later they switched to this, what they're wearing here, this jacket, which I like. I actually like the uniform. Still can't get over these blue uniforms with the white boots. And
every episode there's everyone take a drink. You mentioned the white boots.
Yeah.
The white boots bother you so much.
The white boots, man. Like, why? Okay, and then they got the little like Starfleet Delta on the foot.
Yes.
It looks very like pajama, but I guess it's
on the bottom of the foot. Yeah.
Hold on, my audio is a little distorted. I gotta reset.
Like they're wearing slippers.
Yeah. I need to get Dave to request a question during New York Comic-Con when they have like the lower decks panel.
Yeah. Why did you decide to put the white boots? What is the reasoning for the white boots? Starfleet doesn't do white boots. Starfleet does black boots. Have you ever seen Beverly Crusher wearing white slippers? I don't think so.
Does anyone have any more questions? I have another question about the uniforms. What was the decision to switch from the gray to a very alternate design style with the jacket? With the piping and the, and they're like, shoot, we didn't bring the uniform guy to come talk to answer these questions. Like, dude, I just write the stories, man.
Why is the Delta symbol on the bottom of the shoe? It doesn't seem to make much sense to me.
Oh my god!
I got the audio. Yeah, listen, like these are big questions, guys. Like
that's why I want you to ask them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, okay. Why does the science division need white boots? But you're saying, like, I would understand if every division had its own colored boot. But you're saying that the red shirts and the gold shirts get black boots, but the blue shirts have to have white boots. I think I don't know what that says, but it's saying something, and I want to know what it's saying. And then in terms of what did this uniform come over? Now I like this uniform on. I know I just got into a whole uniform conversation here that nobody asked for, but
I love it.
But listen, like the uniforms that they wore in the flashbacks in Star Trek Picard that we saw Picard wearing and Raffi, I did not really like them. I liked that they had kind of done something new, but I didn't care for like just this weird like thing. We didn't get too much of that. It was just in a couple of flashback scenes in Star Trek Picard, but this uniform they're wearing on Lower Deck seems to predate that. So I guess it's somewhere 2380 to 2385 is this look. Oh, Jeff's bringing it in. Yeah, it's just there it is. White boots. What's the saying, Jaemeel? Why not white pants?
What do they do after Labor Day?
Yeah, what do they do after Labor Day? I don't know. I think that this is a nice looking uniform. I don't know how it would look in real life as a real.
How come? All right, explain this one to me. How come it's blue and not the greenish teal that Bashir wears in Deep Space Nine?
Because they've changed it. They've gone back to a more traditional color scheme. Because you're right. Like by the end of Voyager, like and Deep Space Nine, it was not really blue anymore. It actually become more of a jungle green, or like a teal, like almost like a San Jose Sharks green.
Almost like Jameel's shirt.
Yeah, almost like Jameel's shirt is where that had become blue, but it was and well, this is a cartoon too, where it's it's much more primary color. So
I like the blue better than the green.
Me too. I do too. You know, I'm sure somebody has built this as a cosplay, right?
Cosplayers never sleep.
I just even like and that uniform is not as good. Do you know why?
Because it's attached to Bashir.
It's attached to Bashir. No, it's because like their little turtleneck, it zips here in the front.
Yeah.
But the others, their turtleneck zips up in the back. It's actually a much better look on camera.
Yeah.
These are the things I think about.
And like, yeah.
I like Jaemeel, you only have to deal with this like once a week. I've been dealing with this my whole life.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I talked about and ship classes is the other thing. Like, no, I'm like, oh, Olympic class. Oh, the California class.
Parliament class.
Your eyes lit up so much when they said Parliament class. You're like, there's a whole new class of ships.
Whole new class, Parliament class, and it's
Maybe
named.
there's a Burlington ship or a Toronto ship.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm literally gonna look up in online to see if anyone got the connection. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little bit too big for my, not big for my britches, but like think that I've figured this out. But like that whole Canadian girlfriend thing, I was just like, man, that's I don't know. It just I don't know. I don't know.
I don't
what to
know.
say.
I don't know.
Oh.
Well, I think we've talked about this episode as much as we can. We've been talking about how this series is progressing, and I think we're all still having a good time. But I'm interested to see what is next week. I don't know. Do we have a title for next week's episode? I couldn't find anything online about it.
No, I didn't really.
I think it's been released.
They don't release that. That's a bit. It is next week, though, right? It does air.
I think so. There's no reason why.
Yeah, September 10th. Yeah. It's airing, but no title has been released yet. So maybe that's it for a reason. Maybe there's something that they're hiding, or they're not. They're going to kind of drop on us along the way, and I hope that's the case. So I think that covers it for Star Trek Lower Decks tonight on the 5th episode, Cupid's Arrow. Make sure to come back here tomorrow on Live Long and Podcast, as we are going to be doing Star Trek Radio Theater, and we are doing a great one in Tapestry from Star Trek The Next Generation's 6th season. Jeff's going to be playing the part of Jean-Luc Picard. We have Jessica Chan and Michael Chan playing the parts of Corton Zweller and Marta Batanides, respectively. I'll be playing the Nausicaans, including Commander Riker and Beverly Crusher. My wife Jane playing Penny Maroc, Maurice Picard, Lieutenant Worf, and various other voices, and Kevin Millard as the role of Q in a bow tie, along with Ashley Millard as the narrator, Counselor Troy, the computer medic, and various other voices. So and the whole thing with Star Trek Radio Theater, if you have never listened to it, is that each week when we come in here, everyone's playing these different roles, and none of us know what. Well, sometimes we know, but like mostly we don't. Like what voice is this person going to assign to this character, or what kind of performance are they going to give, and inflection. So often we're just not to laugh. So if you just from that standpoint, give it a listen. I think sometimes we really bring it. Like last time Michael came in to this one we did on Deep Space Nine last week, where he was Barney the Clown as Gul Dukat. Sorry, not Barney. Barney the Dinosaur from the 90s kids show. No, I wasn't ready for that. And then I had to do scenes with him. I had to talk to him for the whole episode as my character. And I was
Black
doing,
Panther.
I was Black Panther. I was doing T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman. So it was like it was interesting energies coming together as we were talking about who stole the Defiant and how to prevent wars and all these other things. So it's a whole new take, but it's all done because we love Star Trek and we like just having some fun with each other. All right, so then on Tuesday nights we'll be back for Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Wednesday, so as we're getting through the second episode of a 3-parter opening to season 2, our 3.5-year journey to rewatch Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's called The Circle. Check that out. Tuesday night we'll be here, and then Wednesday night we'll be here to talk original series, which will be Arena, the Kirk versus Gorn and all that stuff. That's one of my favorite episodes, so I'm really looking forward to that. And on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting, we are covering Big Brother USA Season 22 All-Stars. We're in the 4th week. It's going great. And we had quite the night tonight. We just did the
Don't line the DRs, Dave. Yeah, don't line the DR.
Yeah, you can check that out on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. The gameplay is riveting. And we don't know what's going to happen week to week. We get right down to evictions, and we're like, we don't know who's going home. There's no way to know.
No way to know whatsoever.
And our third channel is Trivial Debates, where we do a monthly debate show where we argue about trivial topics about movies, TV, sports, history, other things, a whole bunch of different topics. So check that on the last Sunday of every month. Ashley Millard will be hosting the next one. We just posted one a week ago. All right. So thanks for listening, everybody, and watching. If you're here on the live stream tonight on this late, as we come to midnight here on September 3rd, headed into September 4th, and happy Labor Day to you, and have a great long weekend to those